I'm Colin Rogers, SMU kicker from Prattville, Alabama, junior, and we're discussing in the podcast today the beatdown of the Frogs this week with Bill and Billy.
This is the On the Pony Express podcast, hosted by Billy Embody, brought to you by Epoch Estate Wines. Walking strong on the Pony Express, a weekly segment with SMU alum, owner, vintner of Epoch Estate Wines, Bill Armstrong. Epoch Estate Wines, world-class wines from Paso Robles wine country. Learn more, Epoch, E-P-O-C-H, epochwines.com. And now your host. Billy Embody.
1, 2, 3, let me go.
Welcome in, ladies and gentlemen, to another edition of the Walking Strong podcast. I'm Billy Embody, Bill Armstrong.
Podcast partner. Can you believe this?
That was epic.
Oh, was it epic? Was it epic? I mean, that was literally like 12 hours ago.
Yeah.
Unbelievable. I'm a little hungover, just a little.
Oh, did you party a little bit after
yeah,
that one?
I couldn't leave. I couldn't sleep.
Yeah.
I couldn't sleep last night.
We were texting late.
I know we were. I was like 1:30, 2 in the morning.
Yep.
Oh, my God.
Send the you up text. Yeah.
All right, we have a very, very special wine today. It is called our Veracity, especially for the Florida State week coming up. And it's in the Pony Express case. This is will be our 5th game. And this is truly breakfast of champions. I love it that it's not even noon.
We're keeping our...
It's not even noon, and here we are in the Weber End Zone Complex in the Armstrong Wellness Center.
Yes.
Oh my God, that's so good. I don't even know where to start because last night's game was, I think, the greatest game that I've ever been to at SMU since the Pony Express era.
What's our record now?
Oh, 3-1. I just want to say right up front, 3-1. I need to say that every time because I always forget. But
66-42 inside Ford Stadium, and jump out to a 17-0 lead. When TCU fights back, SMU swung back and just made it a non-competitive game. Mm-hmm. But tell us about this wine a little bit. It's in the Pony Express case, epochwines.com/pony. Free shipping with code PONY.
You know, it actually occurred to me as I was watching our last podcast, we're the only school, I think, in the entire country that has a wine football podcast. Yeah. It shows the sophistication and the classiness of SMU. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. I don't know. It's just like one of those things. It's very appropriate for SMU. Anyway, this wine is essentially equal parts Grenache, Syrah, and Mourvedre. And we picked it specifically for the FSU game because we got a 99-point score on this wine. It should have been 100, just like last year when Florida State didn't go to the national championship. They got jobbed. Yeah. We got jobbed by not having a 100-point score. So I think this is a special kind of shout out to my friends in Tallahassee. Yeah. You know, and so that's why it's very specific for this game. So you're gonna love it. You're gonna love it. That game last night, by the way, when Georgia put that beat down on TCU, national championship, they scored 65. We scored 66.
It's a facto. Is there a new national championship trophy?
Well, I'm just saying, you know, one thing that's really interesting is I was so distraught after losing to freaking BYU last week. Mm-hmm. Then they just put that beat down on Kansas State last night.
Yeah.
I think they're better.
They're a little bit better than people give them credit for.
They're a little bit better than it wasn't even a close game.
Yeah.
I mean, it was just so. I'm thinking our 3-1 status is actually a little bit stronger than I thought. So before we get into the subject that I know everybody in Mustang Nation wants us to talk about, and me specifically, which is that complete meltdown by Sonny, I will never leave you, Dykes. Sonny, I will never get kicked out of a game for being a petulant little baby, Dykes. So I'm going to talk about that in a minute. But let's talk about the game.
Yeah.
Because you called it. Well, by the way,
not really.
You didn't call the win.
I didn't call the win. I said, you know what, I got to switch this up.
I had a number of people they were like, dude, I don't know if you can do that podcast with him anymore. How does he not? I mean, even the Peruna handlers were saying, Get on Billy. That ain't right.
Well, now I guess I have to pick against SMU every week.
Every week, because that's the new juju.
You have your bit with Sonny. I've got my bit against picking against SMU in big games.
Okay, I get it. Yeah. So from start to finish, the game was completely played by every facet of our team, which I just loved. I mean, you called it from the standpoint is like they had the model that UCF had put on them, which is just run at them. And we did. Would we have 250 yards roughly rushing?
Brashard Smith over 7 yards a carry. LJ Johnson over 7 yards a carry. Kevin got in on it.
Yeah.
You know, Derek McFall had a couple carries. I mean, it was a concerted effort, and they finished with 42 carries. I've said for a while, in these big games where SMU hasn't come out on the right side of it, they were under 30 carries or so. They were under 35. Big discrepancy between pass run. Rhett committed to it. He stayed with it and got rewarded. And as well as the defense and special teams helped out scoring, all of a sudden you looked up, halfway through that first quarter, and they had been on the field a lot too.
Oh, man. Our defense had been on the field a lot. And this, Sonny said after the game it was a little bit weird because we had to almost no snaps, and here it was in the first quarter.
Yep.
Which, by the way, I love, just because it just tells you how, we had a punt return in the middle of that. We had a fumble recovery, scoop and score.
How about Brandon Crosley?
Oh, Crosley's just so much fun. I mean, really, there's so many great. Junior, unbelievable game.
Yep.
Brashard he's becoming dominant. He's becoming dominant.
There's a Marion Hampton at North Carolina who's unbelievable running back, and I think right now the second best back in the ACC might be Brashard. Could be Damian Martinez at Miami. I haven't looked closely enough.
What about that kid from Cal? He was supposed to be so good.
Yeah, he got hurt, so he's. Talent-wise, he's right there. Yeah. But in terms of production, 190, I believe, total yards from Brashard. He almost had a touchdown.
Well, he did have that 6. I don't know. Did they?
I think he got that side on the white or whatever.
From the angle on the field, it looks like you could see just a little green. Just a little bit of green.
Maybe. We got to work on the cameras then. Tennis, they've got the review. You're like, how did I even see this?
Super high def. I tell you what, let's say that happened. There was one coach that didn't throw an absolute crybaby fit over that call. And I think it was a bad call. And that was Rhett. He didn't act like Sonny did when Sonny didn't get his way in the beginning of the third quarter. Just saying, maybe one has class. Maybe the other, maybe the other has class with a capital K. I'm just saying, I don't know. And so Brashard, because he's got the wheels.
Oh man!
And he can go side to side like nobody's business. It's just amazing.
I felt too. Rhett has been growing as a coach, and we talked to him before the season and all of that, and he's been going down this road of all the right buttons to press, and what I call the redemption tour. Beating Tulsa at Tulsa for the first time forever, beating Memphis, going back to New Orleans and revenge for the 2 years ago, And he finally got, and I think it's really special that it was TCU for him to break through on the power win front, because it's been a long time coming. They've been close in different areas. They coulda, shoulda, woulda at Oklahoma. They coulda, shoulda, woulda against BC. But this is so special for him, and I think the way he managed the game, even getting that field goal at the end of the first half, they got the ball back. That you got great players. Brashard makes plays, but you manage it the right way and you get rewarded. That's good coaching.
It was really, really good coaching. It was one of those games that it was almost surreal. I was on the sideline thinking, he goes 3-0, and then all of a sudden, before you knew it, it was 17-0. And my palms were sore from high-fiving people. I was watching the game with Craig James, and of course he watches the game differently than I do. He watches the two guards, and he knows right away there's going to be a pass or this is going to be whatever. And I'm not sophisticated like that. I'm just watching the game, just looking for the emotion. And I'm watching the emotion of our side. I never even bothered to go say hi to Sonny Dykes before or after or during the game. Although I was really tempted to go into the locker room after he got kicked out and just needle him, which would have been really fun. By the way, I think that whole Sonny Dykes getting kicked out, I'm taking full credit. I've been needling him every week ever since he left SMU, and I finally got under his skin. Even Gerald Turner admitted last night that maybe you were right.
You want to know who else was going after him? The student section.
Oh, were they?
2 years ago, they were not behind the visitor bench.
Okay, that's right.
And now they moved him, and they were going in on him.
Oh, they were?
Oh.
So,
yeah.
You know what? I think he wanted to get kicked out.
I do.
I really think he did. I think it was
he didn't want to shake Rhett's hand after the game.
The kitchen was so hot that he wanted out of the kitchen.
Yep.
And then him acting like a little, you know what, as he was like fist pumping as he was walking out. You're embarrassing yourself. Don't do that. Just go to the locker room. You know, don't sit there.
The crazy thing about that, per people in that area, is that it was actually TCU fans booing. So kind of maybe a sarcastic, like, which makes it even worse.
Yeah,
like,
there was some TCU fans. That was what he was
they were
booing?
giving it. They were giving it to him.
They were booing
so
him?
it was like, you know, whatever. And I mean, that was what I had heard from people who were sitting in those sections. It wasn't a response to SMU fans. Maybe it was, but
that's interesting because if you look at it, since they lost against Kansas State in the Big 12 championship, then they lost got beat down like, you know, a rented mule in the national championship. He's 7-11.
Yeah.
Since then.
And meanwhile, SMU has lost one game at Ford over the past couple of years. I believe they're 10-1 in the last 2 years.
We have a distinct home field advantage now. You know what? There was about 80% of the students at SMU in that game. How great was that?
Set an all-time record for the second straight week of student attendance, 4,680, I believe it was.
Was that what it was?
Yep.
I think we only have 7,000 students.
Yeah.
You know, so it was like, think about that. And I'm telling you, it was not an easy game to sit. It was like 102 in the stands.
Roasting. They hung in there.
And they were looking right into the sun the whole time, and they hung in there.
I didn't blame them at all when the game was clearly won. Being like, you know what, we're out of here.
Which is, by the way, that's a blessing, the fact that we even have that.
Yeah.
You know, when was the last time we ever had something like that? So, I mean, I was just like, oh, man, I'm so pumped. So, let's go player of the games before I just totally dig it on Sonny. Burchard.
Yeah.
KJ.
Yeah.
Dude is the silent assassin. 14 of 19. Yep. Very efficient. He had the one fumble.
Yep. And Rhett, it's crazy. Rhett just obviously destroyed him about that, which is right. Yeah. And he quickly corrected. I kind of asked him, I said, you know, it's similar almost to the Tulane game where he did get that early adversity, and Rhett goes, whoa, that wasn't KJ's fault, first of all.
That was a freak.
That
was a fluke. That was a fluke.
But he stayed the course. Remember, that was his second drive of the game, and they had been on the sideline for like half the quarter all of a sudden.
I know.
And they were able to respond and just go back at it. And even when it became 17-14 earlier, you were like, oh, man, they let the hot start get away.
Right.
They came back and just dominated them.
Yep.
And shout out to the offensive line, too.
No kidding. Okay, I was dogging them.
0 sacks.
I was dogging them last week.
Yep. 0 sacks allowed.
Yep.
They made changes. And also, by the way, Ja'Kai Clark gets hurt. And they go and put Justin Osborne at center.
I know.
The first play, Burchard Smith, 25-yard touchdown.
I know. How
right behind him. So just what a
By the way, he ran that 25 yards so fast.
He was cruising.
It was like, holy crap, man.
The play of the game for me was the touchdown pass where Kevin got out of the pocket to Burchard Smith, and he made another man miss. And kind of, I think that capped it. I think that was the answer to the touchdown to open the half for TCU.
Right.
So they came back and just swung back and said, no, not happening. I'm with you on Burchard and KJ being players of the game. I'll say this, Ahmad Moses, two picks.
2 picks. Ugh.
And he has been so good. And going back to the spring, SMU, you're always worried about, players portal this, portal that. If you're talking about the defense, one of the top right up there guys that they were worried about anyone coming after was Ahmad Moses. And he has been on a tear. I mean, a late addition to this program on signing day, and he's been a world-class player pretty much since he's gotten here.
And he's a great attitude.
Great quiet
attitude, quiet guy.
Yep.
I'm just now getting to kind of know him. I'm just kind of getting to know Burchard Smith, and they're just class guys. Yeah. They're just so friendly, and there's big smiles, and I don't know. We got a really, really special group of players. And by the way, How many recruits do we have in the crowd?
Tons. Including the 4-star quarterback commit who was flipped from TCU to SMU. So saw he had a big smile on. And I guess the cool thing is to say they brought the belt. That was what all the kids were telling me, as I hit them up for reactions and things like that.
The belt? What's the belt?
Yeah, SMU brought the belt out on TCU. Brought the belt. Yeah. Yep. So.
But I was watching them. There's like a whole section of them there, and we're battling for the Metroplex as far as recruits.
Yep.
Well, if you're one of those guys, where do you want to play? You want to play for that petulant crybaby? Or do you want to? We have a team on the ascent, and we have another team on the descent. You want to go with the winner, or do you want to go and live in a cowtown? Yeah. I'm just saying.
They thought those hats were so cool when they had them made too.
I know. I'm just saying. The game was just like absolutely kick-ass on so many levels. So my favorite play of the game, bar none, was when that. First, we know how you make a little 1-year-old man. You kind of get that face with it. And Sonny has that bulldog face. And he just goes, just like a big, just crybaby. He made a fool of himself. An absolute spectacle of himself.
It is so hard to get thrown out of games in college football. I don't know how you do it.
Nobody's been thrown out of a college football game since they put the rule, and I love they call it unsportsmanlike. That's perfect. That's a perfect description of the way he behaved. Unsportsmanlike. Okay, was that a big hold on that kick return? I don't know.
Rhett said it was. Rhett said it was. For what it's worth.
I just didn't see it. I was sitting here in the end zone. I'm kind of going, what's going on right now? Yeah. And all of a sudden, there he is, and Kaz is trying to hold him back, and he's just trying to be that badass like he thinks he is all the time. And then for him to get ejected it really was. It put an icing on the cake. In fact, if you would have said, we're going to win by 66-42. By the way, the game was not near as close as the score indicated. And you would have said, and Sonny gets kicked out for 2 unsportsmanlike penalties. If I would have written that for a Hollywood script, they would have said, that's too unrealistic. You can't put that in a Hollywood script because they're going to
try to do based on a true story here.
Based on a true story. There's no way. And I'm just telling you, all my friends at Fort Worth, I have a lot of you friends out there, but you get what you get. I'm just saying, you stole Sonny. Listen, I was a fan of Sonny's, but you stole him from us, which was a very unclassy move to go steal a crosstown rival. You don't do that. There were so many coaches in the entire league. How about Dion, for example?
Getting a win over Baylor last night.
Let's talk about that in a minute. But so TCU, you get what you deserve. You know what? They call him Cabo Sonny for a reason, because he's spending all of his time in Cabo. He's barely coaching anymore. I think he wants to. I think he wants to go into retirement. Which, by the way, we pulled you out of retirement when you came out of Cal. I'm just saying.
I know one former TCU coach.
Do you want me to keep going? I can go on.
We do have to talk about FSU, a little bit, but I know somebody was sitting on a back porch somewhere with maybe strumming a little guitar. I don't know if Coach Patterson smokes cigars, but that one might have had
Coach Gary, we're buddies. He called me this week, and I asked him to come to our suite. I just thought that would be too sweet, no pun intended. And he was classy enough to say that would just cause a ruckus.
Yeah.
So I'm not going to do that. But I think Gary was pulling for SMU. I have to admit. He just got shanked by Sonny Dykes. And Sonny acts like, he's some kind of holier-than-thou guy. Oh, my. Sorry. We're now seeing what I have known. Mustang Nation, you're seeing what I have been telling you. And it happened right there in front of everybody. ESPN's even laughing about it.
Yeah,
it was, how good was that? I'm just saying.
If it's a sign of what's to come for this team, SMU has a chance to win the ACC. We're kind of right back into where everybody kind of was talking about them before the season. Dark horse, could they do it? Whatever. They talk about a confidence builder for this team. This team, you look ahead on the schedule, and they can't look ahead, but you can look at it and say, that type of a win and all of the things they put together, you do that every week, you've got a chance, especially with the schedule they have. You have a chance.
I agree. Now, it's not going to get easy.
Nope.
We have 2
Absolutely not.
really tough games.
Brutal.
Really tough games. One's at home, one's on the road. The BYU, when BYU has won their games, they held a team to 15, which is us, 14, 13, and 9.
Yeah.
Their defense is brutal.
Yeah.
I mean, absolutely brutal. And Kansas State saw that last night. So that's not much of a loss now when you look back. And we should have won.
Yep.
We should have won. But now that we have our offensive line kind of settled, now that we have KJ kind of settled, I really think the team rallied around him in a huge way. So you want to talk about Sonny some more, or have I done enough?
If you have anything else to add, toss it in, and then we can. I do want to close.
Gerald, I don't want to make you mad.
Yeah.
But by the way, that win was for Gerald.
Yeah, Rhett said that after the game too.
He's retiring at the end of this year. Frankly, I don't even want to go to TCU next year and play the Iron Skillet game.
Yeah.
I think TCU should call us and say, can we just pay you not to play us?
Yeah.
Because we're going to do a beatdown on them next year.
They might have to pay a lot of money to get rid of Sonny, so it might be a little bit of a stretch.
Ooh, that's going to be expensive. Probably money well spent.
I heard it's like $25 million.
25 is the number I heard too.
Yeah.
So, okay, listen, we have Florida State coming up.
Yes.
And they had a rough start of their season. They started patching things up yesterday against Cal.
Yep.
By the way, let's talk about college football real quick. Think about yesterday. That Hail Mary of CU beating Baylor.
Yep.
By the way, the Ugly Stepsisters had a bad week.
Tough.
Baylor and TCU, Drizella and Anastasia. No. They're in SMU with the Cinderella move. It's just incredible. But look, Boston College, big win.
Big win.
We have
Clemson whipping NC State, which is shocking, but now Clemson might kind of be
back to being Clemson. Back to being Clemson.
Miami cooked.
Miami cooked.
Yep.
Look at Navy being Memphis.
It's that is a perfect example of how crazy college football is.
I totally
You can
agree.
lose to BYU, shoot yourself in the foot. You can come back and whip your crosstown rival.
I know.
And that's what I think the hardest piece was about this was it was a 2-week lead up, and there was a lot of second guessing, a lot of what is Rhett doing? He's lost control.
I wasn't second guessing Rhett.
I know you weren't. I know you weren't.
Yeah, I was.
But to go out and to get 74% completion percentage from KJ, he has the one turnover. Don't get me wrong.
But 14 and 19.
But this is Rhett said it best at Memphis. This is not the old SMU. This is new. And believe it or not, as much as Rhett would love to put up 45 a game offensively, as long as they're coming out on top on the scoreboard, he does not care what it looks like. And I think SMU fans need to accept that this is the type of team that's around here now. Ball control, play defense is the way to win football games, and they'll have a chance to do that against Florida State.
Our defensive line is holding. They held TCU to 2 yards a carry.
Yeah.
Oh, unbelievable. Yeah. We scored 66 points. Yeah. The only team that scored more yesterday was James Madison against UNC. Oh. I mean, that's another, college football is nuts.
Our friend Eric McLean on his podcast with Kelly Gramlich this week, they have a segment called You Better Not, and they said, UNC, you better not lose to James Madison.
Oh, wow.
Talk about a good, well-coached team. JMU's been great since they moved up into FBS and all of that. But, all right, Florida State, 14-9 win.
By the way, we have nothing but love for the ACC.
Oh, yeah.
Nothing but love. We have no rivalry yet, And I'm just saying, everybody in Tallahassee, you need to get some Epoch because you need to share with us the sophistication that we're bringing to Dallas and to SMU. And Tallahassee, let's show some love. It's going to be really fun. It's going to be a sold-out stadium.
Yeah, it's going to be bumping.
Week. It's going to be bumping. They haven't been running the ball well.
They haven't been doing much well offensively.
Oh, I know they haven't, but they won. They won against
Cal.
They
did win.
They won against
Gritty
Cal.
Win. Their defense is really solid. Their defense doesn't get enough credit. Everybody looks at that situation and thinks total dumpster fire, which, trust me, on the field, it has not worked out, and they clearly have a quarterback issue. But when you can play good defense, you're going to have a chance.
Defense carries, travels. Is that what you say?
Yep, exactly.
Yeah, so it is really going to be a fun. What's the spread?
Why don't you take a guess first?
Well, Florida State's so good, and we won big. I'm going to say SMU by 4.
Okay, SMU minus 5.5.
What?
Yeah, pretty wild.
We're down 5.5?
No. That means they're favored.
We're by 5.
Yeah.
Okay, so I was close. Close.
Yep. Yeah, you weren't far off.
By the way, I just want to again shout out to all the fans of Mustang Nation because the Boulevard yesterday was the most banging boulevard.
Was a zoo.
It was absolutely fantastic.
Yep.
It's everything. Gerald, you brought the boulevard to SMU. I mean, it was essentially, I want to do the Grove, Ole Miss Grove at SMU. And yesterday, I really wish I had that selfie stick and walking around. Because I was like going, this is the most amazing thing.
I was thinking about texting you, you know, with the game, and I was like, you know what? Let's get through this game, and then we can do things like that.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Right.
Like, And man, SMU brought it. The fans brought it. The stadium was unbelievable. You know, a lot of the TCU fans didn't travel because either of last week or the experience 2 years ago.
Is that right?
No one has been complaining at all about what's going on in the stadium. They fixed it. The water, the concourses, the concessions.
We have a little bit of a parking issue, I have to admit. I mean, I had a lot of people saying what's going on there.
Well, when it's a zoo, when it's a zoo,
we just come earlier.
Yeah.
I mean, come an hour earlier than you had this game. I would say come 3 hours. You know, the best college football experiences is like an all-day thing.
Yeah, and that's the new mindset that kind of has to get there for SMU fans.
Right.
Like, it is such a difference when it comes to, you know, arriving early and doing all those things. I mean, you can't roll up like that anymore. And I will say, SMU is a small campus. There are colleges where you go and you have good parking as like behind Dallas Hall. Like, you would consider that walk to the stadium primo.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay.
So SMU fans, you know,
don't complain.
Get there earlier. You know, it's.
By the way,
we're a little gridlocked right now.
By the way, total shout out to the game day experience.
It's great.
I mean, we have great music.
Yep. Did you hear "Hit the Road Jack" when your boy got?
Perfect. I mean, perfect. I just couldn't. You know, I kind of peed a little bit. It was so exciting. Did I say that? But.
You do it again and again.
Our band is doing it better than ever.
Yep. Palm and cheer.
I mean, Palm and cheer. Carrie and Mary, you're making this like the Dallas Cowboy cheerleaders. And they're in the end zone both times. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, that was a cool move.
I really like that.
Yep.
Because it's crowded on the sidelines. And they had that CW truck and running back and forth. Damn near hurt Bouchard.
Yeah.
And then the DJ.
Yep.
And it's just a fun game. And then I loved our student section. Because they were dancing and they were rolling. I didn't hear about them yelling at Sonny, but he deserves it. So I don't know. I'm just proud of SMU. We are on the ascent.
Just like that, they're back. You know, like I mean, 2 weeks ago, it's crazy. It's crazy.
That's college football, baby. All right, I think we've gone long enough.
Yeah. Do you have an early prediction? Do I have to give one?
Yeah. Why don't you start this time? Yeah.
All right. So I always pick games how I feel. Okay. I really do. And SMU showed me a lot. I'm going to pick them to win 27-17.
By 10.
By 10. I mean, if SMU's defense is going to play, I don't think Florida State's offense can do the things that Josh Hoover, who, by the way, very classy guy.
Josh Hoover was really good. Oh, we did have 4 turnovers.
Yeah, I mean, he did not take care of the football.
No.
But just talking with some different people.
And that wide receiver Beck.
Whew. Yeah. He's a Louisiana boy. He's from Lafayette. I covered him.
He's a man.
Yep.
He's a man.
Yeah, he's a good
I hope he goes into the league because he just has he was fun to watch, even though it was against us.
Yeah.
So, okay, I'm not going to be quite as bold as you because I think I really respect Florida State's talent. Mm-hmm. But I'm going to say SMU by 6.
Okay.
It's kind of the line.
So they cover.
Good
teams win. Great teams cover.
Yeah. So
SMU did both on Saturday against TCU.
All right.
Any last remarks on this one?
I'm just going to say, because I want to say so much more about the Sonny situation. Oh, man. I'm not going to. Gary Patterson wants me to, though. Gerald Turner doesn't want me to. All of our dozens of fans, they were telling me, I cannot wait to hear you say
somebody. I texted you. I said somebody on the board said that this podcast with you will feed families.
Okay. Well, that was just so much fun, and it was literally since the Pony Express days, greatest game.
Yep. Since 2005, first home win against TCU.
What?
Yes.
I didn't know that.
Yeah.
It's been that many years.
Yeah.
A home win
against TCU.
Oh,
I know.
Makes it even better. Well, that's why Sonny was crying like a little. Mm-hmm. That he is.
Yeah.
You know. Holy shit. He wanted to get kicked out.
Yeah.
Acting like a total friggin' baby. Irascible, pugnacious, contemptuous. Oh, for all the TCU students, Those are big SAT words. All the SMU guys know that. I'll just say whiny baby. So TCU can understand that.
What a game. What a podcast. Cheers.
Awesome.
SMU, 3-1 on the year after beating TCU 66-42. For Bill Armstrong, I'm Billy Embody. This has been
Come on, Florida State. Bring it. So much fun. Tallahassee, come to the Boulevard. You'll love it.
They will. We'll catch you next time on the Walking Strong podcast. Cheers, everyone.
I mean,
that's perfect.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, that was awesome.
Okay.
Way to go. All right.
Perfect. One take?
Just nails.
One take.
Yeah.
One take.
That's all it takes.
Thanks for listening to the On the Pony Express podcast with Billy Embody. Follow us on your socials on X at SMU-on3 and on Instagram at On3SMU. And keep it locked to OnThePonyExpress.com for more coverage.